Hello everyone. Hope you all will be fine at your home. Now this pandemic, everybody is just getting the new word that is called mucor fungus infection or black eye. So this kind of new thing we are dealing with. So what I think we should have enlightened this topic more so that we can have a better idea about that and we can plan our management as per that. So in short, we already know this fungus that is mucormycosis fungus or that fungal infection is called mucormycosis. If you go in a detail, that a microbiological detail, we don't go for the detail here right now, but they are the fungus and you know that when there is a fungus, their structure is they are having high P and high P of this fungus is non-septate. But what's the difference between hyphae? Here the hyphae are diameter is little bit more or more than normal fungus. They are branch and they form some colonies and they have the spores. So this is all about this fungus. So why we are more interested in this fungus? Because right now in COVID-19 pandemic, we are getting more and more cases. So how to deal with that? The first thing for the pathogenesis of this fungus is very important. This fungus is angioinvasive. So it will enter into the small vessels like small or medium sized vessels and there they causes inflammation. After inflammation there is obstruction and because of that there is a ischemia and whenever there is a ischemia there is a necrosis. So what happen here, whenever there is a necrosis, if we try to give certain drugs for the treatment of this particular fungus, it will not reach the tissue because already tissue is necrosed. So what we are going to do is we have to remove this necrotic part and then we will start the treatment. So we will go in this topic step by step. So what we are going to see here in this today's presentation, I will talk about the predisposing factor of ROCM. So ROCM is the short form for rhino-orbital cerebral mucormycosis. So I will talk about predisposing factors, red flag sign, diagnosis, how to diagnose, what are the staging, how will you manage as per the staging, and what are the preventive line of measure. So we don't have any financial interest for this particular presentation. So before going to the predisposing factor, I want you to say that this is the integrated approach disease. So not only ophthalmologist or not only ENT surgeon, it is an integrated approach by physician, intensivist, radiologist, ophthalmologist along with the ENT surgeon. So everyone has their own diagnostic thing here and collectively we can treat the diseases. So first we will talk about the predisposing factors. So what are the predisposing factor of this particular fungus? Diabetes mellitus, everyone know that whenever there is a disease, any kind of disease, diabetes is the one which is a chronic disease which make it more worse, right? Next, if the patient that is he or she is on steroid, some immunodeficiency state or some hematology like diseases are there or malignancies are there, right? So leukemia, these are kind of the predisposing factors. So whenever we are talking about the predisposing factor, we should know how to diagnose this by seeing the red flag sign. So what are the red flag signs for this ROCM? Okay, so red flag signs, they are specific for the eyes, like a nose, or general features are also there. What are the general features we need to look for whenever we need to diagnose this? So fever, very important, headache, altered sensorium, focal seizure, or might be the paralysis, right? So that will click in your mind. These are the red flag sign, but these are the general red flag sign. Nasal, this is very important. That should be looked by the ENT surgeon, or you can also look that there is a nasal stuffiness or there is a foul smell because of certain discharge. Okay, discharge, it might be the mucoid or mucopurulent. Don't think that whenever we are talking about the fungus, it should be the black all the time. No, it might be blood tinge or it might be the black one. Now, if you inspect or if you look at the mucosa, usually what is the first thing in your mind whenever you think about the fungus, you will see it's a black fungus, an idea comes in your mind like you will see some necrotic area. No. Usually the ulcer is ischemic. And whenever it is an ischemic ulcer, you need to look for white ulcer or some blue ulcer. Okay, that is the ischemic ulcer. And then it will be converted into SR. So these are the nasal features we should look for. What are the ophthalmic features? Ophthalmic features, it will start like you can see externally eyelid is swollen, edematous, or sudden ptosis also there. In orbit, you can see the periorbital edema or proptosis or restriction of the ocular movement, that is ocular motility restriction. Sometimes patient can give the history of, not history, or he will give the complaint of diplopia, right? So double vision. Conjunctiva, sometimes you can see the chemosis. So, and the most important you need to look for, that is the visual acuity. Sudden loss of vision is also there. So these are kind of ophthalmic features. So these are red flag sign related to eye. Red flag sign we previously discussed about the nose and general. Now, whenever we have all this sign, now what is the next thing we can do? We diagnose the ROCM. So whenever we have the diagnosis, we make certain criteria as per the AIOS guideline, right? I already give the reference at the end of this presentation. So they make it first possible. So what is the possible thing? If any patient who is recently treated, like almost like a 6 weeks or less than 6 weeks, that might be a candidate, or that might be a patient of ROCM if he is having any alarming symptoms. Second, the patient, if he or she is diabetic. Second. Third, like there is a use of steroid, or there is a drug we already use in a COVID-19 setting, that is tocilizumab, or a patient also is on mechanical ventilation or oxygen supplementation. That might be a possible diagnosis of ROCM. I'm not saying it's the ROCM, but there is a possibility of ROCM there, right? So this is about the possible. Now, if you want to make it more confirmed, then we can say probable. Okay, so what is the probable? All these sign and symptoms, clinical sign and symptoms we already discussed about, like eyes, nose and general. Along with that, we can do certain diagnostic tests. So what are the diagnostic tests? Like you can see the mucosa by doing some nasal endoscopy, right? Or you can also go for the radiology, like for CT or MRI. MRI is more preferable. So whenever you do certain tests, okay, then there is increased probability, but you want to prove it. So whenever you want to prove it, what you can do, along with the clinical sign and symptoms or radiological feature, you can perform certain tests like microbiological test or pathological test. What are the tests you can do? Like direct microscopy. So you can use certain special stain or culture. Swab. Swab is very important. What are the various type of swabs? Nasal swab. Okay, then you can say paranasal swab, paranasal sinus involvement there, orbital swabs are there. What we are going to do with that particular swab? So we can go for certain microscopic examination or KOH mount. So these are along with the swab. Then we can use certain stain also, like hematoxylin, eosin stain, or PAS, Groket-Gamori stain. So these are certain microbiological or biochemistry part. Or you can also go for the culture. What's culture used? It's a brain, heart, infusion agar, or potato, dextrose agar, or SD agar. Everybody know about the fungus, right? Molecular diagnosis, if the PCR is available, then you can go for the molecular diagnosis. But histopathological examination and the radiological examinations are very important. So rapid diagnosis, you can perform the biopsy and you can perform the histopathological examination. Okay, so this histopathological examination is very, very important. In radiological examination, there is a sign which is called LOCEM, that is loss of orbital contrast enhancement, because that muscle you can see on the radiological MRI contrast enhancement. There is no blood supply because of ischemia. You cannot see the enhancement. So that's why I already say it like it's a combined approach. It's a combined approach. Now we will go for the staging. Staging is also important. So staging depends upon the anatomical progression of this particular mucormycosis or rhino-orbitocerebral mucormycosis. Like if you can see, it will start from the nose and then into the paranasal sinuses, eyes, and then ultimately the brain through the cavernous side. So severity of disease is one of the point. So staging is very simple. Stage 1 limited to the nose, stage 2 paranasal sinus, stage 3 is the orbit, and stage 4 it will enter into your brain. Clinically, or you can say theoretically, it's more important. So each stage they divide already into like A, B, C and D to make it more confirmative, so that you can go for the line of management. So first we will go for the stage 1, 100%. Stage 1 it's limited to your nose. A, that is limited to middle terminate. B, middle plus inferior turbinate, C, nasal septum, and D, whole of the nose inward. So confirmation, how will you confirm nasal mucosa or stage 1? Same thing, just go for the swab and go for the culture or microbiological examination. And symptoms, what are the symptoms? For the symptoms we already discussed in flag sign, but symptoms are localized. There is no other symptoms in case of stage 1. All the symptoms which are present, they are localized because only nasal mucosa are there, like stuffiness and all. But when it enters from nose into the paranasal sinuses, then it is stage 2. Stage 2 is also same. It is divided into A, B, C, D. So 1 sinus involvement, A. 2 sinus involvement on the same side, that is called the B stage. C stage, along with the nasal, along with the paranasal sinuses, if there is a oral cavity or palate involvement, then it is the C. And when bilateral sinuses are involved, then it is the D. Same thing, if you want to confirm stage 2 about the paranasal sinuses, go for the biopsy or go for the confirmation by the sinus biopsy, and then you can go for the culture or histopathological examination. Symptoms here, not a localized symptoms, you can get the constitutional symptoms. Along with the localized symptoms, you will get facial tenderness or mandibular tenderness here, and then fever is also there. So added features in stage 2. Now we finished with nose, then we also done with the paranasal sinuses. Now we are going to the third stage. Now we are entering into the orbit or eye. Again, same thing, it will divide it into A, B, C, D. So from here, nasolacrimal duct to the medial wall of orbit is the stage 1. Then the diffuse involvement, not stage 1, like that is stage, not stage 1, is A. Then B, diffuse involvement. C, involvement of the most important is the orbital apex or superior or inferior orbital fissure along with central retinal artery. You can see the occlusion here, or ophthalmic artery or superior ophthalmic vein involvement. This is all about the orbit. So this disease is progressing from nose to the paranasal sinuses to the enter into the orbit. How will you confirm this? Now here, biopsy is not really easy, just like in nasal biopsy or paranasal. Here, if it is feasible, then you can confirm with the orbital biopsy. Symptoms, all the symptoms which are present in stage 1, stage 2, along with the ophthalmic symptoms. What are the ophthalmic symptoms when the orbit is involved? Okay, pain, proptosis, ptosis, and diplopia. And diminution will be there, right? So these are the symptoms you should look for whenever there is a stage 3. Now this disease or this fungus enter into your brain. So whenever from orbital affects, the first thing it will reach is the cavernous sinus. Okay. So in cavernous sinus, focal involvement, there might be a diffuse involvement of the cavernous sinus. As per that, again the stage 4 is divided into A, B, C, and D. A, focal involvement of cavernous sinus. B, diffuse involvement of the cavernous sinus. And what about the C? Along with the cavernous sinus, whenever the whole skull base, along with the some infarction in, you can see the infarction in the brain, that's a radiological sign, then it's the stage 4C. And what about the D? Diffuse CNS involvement. How will you confirm? Same. There is no other confirmation here. You just do whatever that is called biopsy, and you can go for what is that called? This basically the swab technique and radiological examination. So symptoms are whenever CNS is involved, altered sensorium and seizures are there. So that you should be remember. So these are kind of staging. Staging are very like easy. Nose, paranasal sinuses, then after paranasal sinus, orbit, and orbit then brain. How will you manage this ROCM? So as per the recent protocol which is given by, or the guideline given by ECMM, right? The European Confederation of Medical Mycology, along with MSGERC. What is MSGERC? Okay, the mycosis study of the group, education and the research consortium. So what is the first line of treatment in the management approach? First line of treatment, it is the liposomal amphotericin B. That is the first line of treatment. But if there is a limited resources, if the liposomal amphotericin B is not available, so we can also use amphotericin B deoxycholate or amphotericin B lipid complex, right? But whenever you are using this amphotericin B, you should check the renal function. That is very, very important. And then after that, you can step down to the oral antifungal therapy. So there is no proven role of giving together amphotericin B along with the antifungal drug. So what they suggest, first start the amphotericin B and then step down to the antifungal treatment. So as we divide or stage into possible diagnosis, so what is the possible ROCM? If there is a possibility of ROCM, what we can do? Just observe the patient for at least 3 weeks. Okay. So what we are going to do? Just observing? No. In that, we can perform the repeat diagnostic nasal endoscopy like after 24 to 24 hours. You have to do the contrast enhanced CT MRI, that is after 72 hours as per the guideline. And then supportive treatment is already, but this is about your possible. Now, what about the probable and the proven ROCM medical line of management? Immediately, if it is probable after the diagnostic or if it is proved, you have to immediately induce the patient along with the liposomal amphotericin B. What's the dose? Dose is already given like 5 to 10 milligram per kg body weight. But the strict metabolic control and all the blood tests should be done. If amphotericin B is contraindicated because of you already know renal function impairment, okay, then you can start the isavuconazole. That is like 200 milligram TDS for first 2 days and then followed by 200 milligram OD for the third day. Or you can use the posaconazole 300 milligram, not TDS, it is the posaconazole is the BD on the day 1 and then after that the 300 milligram from the second day. So this is all about your which one? The medical line of management. After that, this is all about the stage 1A, 1, 2, then stage 3A, 3B, then 3C, 3D, along with that stage 4. So each stage they have their particular line of management. Okay. So if patient land up into stage 3A and 3B, then you have to go for the surgical approach, that is the debridement. Aggressive debridement of the paranasal sinus is very important. Along with that, you can give the retrobulbar injection of amphotericin B, that is 3.5 milligram per ml, or you can irrigate the sinus with the amphotericin B, that is 1 milligram per ml. That's the dose. Okay, and for that is endoscopic guided or MRI CT guided. If there is improvement, follow the management. If there is no improvement, if there is a worsening of sign and symptom, then if there is a going towards the orbital involvement, accentration should be planned. Now, surgical management, like this aggressive debridement, but whenever you are doing the debridement, the margin should be clean. Every time irrigation of the sinus is very, very important along with the amphotericin B. So this is a surgical management. When the disease is severe, after the orbit, it enter into the CNS. So what exactly we do? Surgery at that time is not feasible. So we will go for the supportive treatment. So when orbital accentration we will do, what are the why we will do the orbital accentration? That should be the question running in your mind. There are certain reasons. What are the reason of the orbital accentration? Okay, the first, we need to remove the necrotic material. That's the first reason. Second, if there is orbital apex involvement, then we will perform the accentration. Then if there is a possibility of intracranial extension or intracranial extension is there, then orbital, that is called accentration. Severe hypotonic eye, then you have to perform the orbital accentration. Or if there is already globe perforated because of this fungal involvement, then you can perform the accentration operations. This is all about your management. After orbital accentration, what you can do? Continue the induction therapy, that is same IV amphotericin B, at least for 4 weeks, and then you can put the patient on step down treatment of the oral isavuconazole 200 milligram TDS for 2 days and then 200 milligram OD for the third day. And after that, or you can also use the oral posaconazole. The drug is not 200 milligram, posaconazole is the 300 milligram BD for the first days and then 300 milligram OD for the second days. At least 3 to 6 months is treatment should be continuous. Okay, so and what we can do during that particular period, you can perform your clinical or radiological examination to see whether disease is improving or not. But if it is a refractory, then you have to go for the salvage therapy according to the ECMM or MSG ERC. Okay. So the most important is what exactly the role of ophthalmologist here. What exactly the role of ophthalmologist? So basically, ophthalmologists have the only one role, like they have to go for the ocular examination, which is very, very important, or look for any ocular motility problems, or a patient is giving history of diplopia. Okay, so we can also document by doing some fundus photography, OCT. So these are kind of ophthalmic role, which is very, very important to diagnose the ROCM. Now, this is all about the diagnosis, treatment, staging, drugs which we can use. But for that, prevention is also important. How will you prevent the ROCM in this COVID-19 setting? That's what people are worried about, right? So basically, if you know what are the causes or what are the predisposing factor of any disease, then you can only prevent. And that is what the idea behind this particular study or behind this particular presentation. So prevention, how will you prevent? Judicious and the supervised use of systemic steroid is very, very important. Okay, that is the first and most. If patient, and we know that diabetics are more vulnerable, so strict control, glycemic control is very, very important, or control of diabetes mellitus important. Okay, now if patient is on mechanical ventilation, okay, so here you have to carry forward the aseptic precaution while administering the oxygen. So what we can do whenever you are administering the oxygen, sterile water for the humidifier is very, very important. So in humidifier, sterile water will be there. It should be daily change. It should be daily change, or the tube is also sterile. These are the some of the things we can do in this setting. Personal or environmental hygiene, like where the patient is there, we already doing this environmental hygiene. Betadine mouthwash or mouth gargles are very, very important. Okay, and the mask, everywhere there is a mask, but the mask should cover both nose and mouth. Okay, there is evidence that if you give the prophylactic oral posaconazole in high risk patient only, so we can prevent this mucormycosis. So what are the prophylactic to which we can give? If the patient is more than 3 weeks on mechanical ventilation, you can give the prophylactic oral posaconazole. Second, more than 3 weeks if he is using supplement oxygen or steroid, or uncontrolled diabetic patient. So patient is having past history of like chronic sinusitis, if patient is having on immunosuppression. So here you can go for the prophylactic oral posaconazole. These are the high risk patients. So this is all about the mucormycosis, where it will involve, that's why it's called ROCM, rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis. It will start from your nose and land up into your brain, and that is really a life-threatening disease. Nowadays we all are worried about this disease. So what we want to use all the clinical data which is given by the references I already given in the presentations. We should all follow these guidelines. Newer and newer guidelines will be there. They are already present on the website. Just this presentation to help those who are not getting that particular information. So